You know that feeling when you give someone your best, your love, your loyalty, your time, and somehow the more you give, the less they seem to care. It's almost like chasing love pushes it further away. Here's the truth. Love isn't something you chase. It's something you attract. When you're chasing, you're coming from lack. You're saying, I need you to choose me so I can feel worthy. But the moment you start doing that, you hand over your power, and love starts to slip through your fingers. Most people think if they try harder, love will finally stick. They text more, explain more, prove more. But real attraction doesn't grow from effort. It grows from energy. And men, especially emotionally aware men, can feel the difference. They can sense when your attention comes from fear versus confidence. They're drawn to women who know they're the prize, not because of arrogance, but because they're emotionally grounded. So here's the paradox. The second you stop chasing, you stop bleeding energy, you stop convincing someone to see your worth, and instead your worth starts speaking for you. In this video, I'll show you what happens when you finally understand men emotionally, how to connect without losing yourself, how to stay soft but powerful, and how to make love flow toward you naturally. Because when you understand the truth about chasing love, you'll never run after it again. Most women never hear what men actually feel. Not because men don't have emotions, but because most men were never taught how to speak them. They've been trained since boyhood to be strong, composed, and in control. So by the time they reach adulthood, expressing emotion feels like weakness. But here's what they won't say out loud. Men crave emotional safety just as deeply as women do. They want to be understood, not fixed. They want to be accepted without judgment, without having to prove that they're enough. And yet most of the time they're scared. Scared that if they reveal what's really going on inside, they'll be seen as less masculine or worse, unlovable. When a man starts to care for you, he feels a tension inside. One part of him wants to open up and trust you, but another part whispers, don't, she'll use this against you. That's why sometimes he pulls away right after a deep connection moment. It's not rejection, it's fear. He's trying to protect his own heart before he even knows if it's safe with you. The men who seem emotionally unavailable aren't heartless. They're just tired of being misunderstood. They want to be seen for who they are, not for what they provide, fix, or achieve. So when you meet a man's emotions with calm, empathy, and space, without trying to rush his process, you create something he rarely experiences: emotional permission. It's in that quiet, patient energy that men start to open up. Not because you demanded it, but because you made it safe. That's the secret most women miss. It's not about saying the perfect thing or knowing the right strategy. It's about being grounded enough that his walls don't scare you. Because when a man feels emotionally understood, truly understood, he stops needing to protect himself from love and starts wanting to protect you. Every man has emotional triggers, invisible switches inside him that either pull him closer or quietly push him away. And the truth is, these triggers aren't about looks, status, or how perfect you are. They're about how he feels when he's with you. The first emotional trigger that makes a man fall deeper is peace. It's not excitement, it's not mystery. It's the feeling of calm safety. When a man feels that he can exhale around you, that he doesn't need to perform or impress, something in him begins to attach. Because for most men, the world is loud, full of pressure, noise, expectations. If you can be the place where his mind rests, his heart starts to open. It's not about being quiet or submissive. It's about your energy, the way you stay soft even when things get hard, the way you listen without instantly trying to control or fix. That calm is magnetic. The second trigger is admiration. Not blind praise, but genuine appreciation. Men fall for the women who see them, who notice effort, who acknowledge growth, who say, I respect the way you handled that. When you admire who he's becoming, not just what he gives you, you awaken something sacred in him. Because underneath the armor, every man wants to feel like his presence matters. The third trigger is acceptance. When a man shares a piece of his truth, his flaws, his fears, his mistakes, and you don't flinch, you show him something rare. You show him that love doesn't have to be earned by perfection, that he can be imperfect and still worthy. That moment changes everything, because it tells his nervous system, you're safe here. The fourth is playfulness, lightness, laughter, moments where he can forget about the world and just be. Men fall deeper when they can experience both depth and ease with you. When you can move from soulful conversations to silly inside jokes, you remind him that love doesn't always have to be heavy. It can also be fun, alive, effortless. And finally, the most powerful trigger of all, your self-respect. When you have boundaries, when you know your worth, when you're not afraid to walk away if something feels wrong, that strength awakens his desire to rise to meet you. Because men don't fall for women who chase. They fall for women who choose, who know that love should feel mutual, balanced, and emotionally safe. When you embody these energies, peace, admiration, acceptance, playfulness, and self-respect, you stop trying to make him fall. He just does. Not because you persuaded him, but because for the first time his heart recognizes home. When a man starts to pull away, most women panic. They think, what did I do wrong? Did I say too much? Did I scare him? But what's really happening isn't rejection. It's regulation. See, men process emotions differently. When they start to feel something real, something deep, their nervous system goes into overdrive. Connection awakens vulnerability, and vulnerability triggers fear. For many men, emotional closeness feels like stepping into unfamiliar territory, a place where they can't control the outcome. So instead of leaning in, they instinctively retreat. It's not because he's stopped caring, it's because he's trying to make sense of what he feels. Men pull back to regain equilibrium, to breathe, to think, to protect their sense of independence. It's not about you losing value, it's about him finding balance. The mistake most women make in this phase is chasing harder. They send more texts, ask more questions, or try to fix the silence. But what that does is confirm his subconscious fear that closeness equals pressure, so he pulls back even more. Here's the paradox: when you don't chase, when you hold your center and trust the connection, you create emotional space for him to come back on his own. You show him that love isn't a cage, it's a choice. The psychology behind this is simple. Men fall in love during connection, but they understand love during distance. It's in that quiet space that he realizes what you mean to him, what he misses, and whether he feels safe enough to return. If you can stay grounded, calm and warm, without begging for reassurance, you become unforgettable. Because while everyone else reacts from fear, you respond from strength. So the next time he pulls away, don't take it as a sign to chase. Take it as a moment to lean back, breathe, and let him process. If the connection is real, space won't break it, it will reveal it. Real love doesn't just come from chemistry. It grows through communication that feels safe. Emotional safety is the invisible foundation every healthy relationship stands on. Without it, even the strongest attraction will eventually crumble. Men open up, stay close, and commit when they feel safe being themselves. But here's the challenge. Most communication in relationships isn't really about understanding, it's about defending. We listen to reply, not to connect. We talk to prove a point, not to build trust. Emotional safety starts when you stop trying to win the conversation and start trying to understand the person. When a man feels like he can share his thoughts, even the uncomfortable ones, without being judged, corrected, or criticized, he begins to associate you with peace, not pressure. The tone you use matters more than the words themselves. When you speak softly but clearly, you calm his nervous system. When you say, "I'm not here to attack you, I just want to understand what you're feeling," it disarms his defenses instantly. That's how you reach the part of him that rarely lets anyone in. Most men shut down, not because they don't care, but because they don't feel safe expressing what's underneath their silence. They fear being misunderstood, dismissed, or made wrong for feeling what they feel. So instead of pushing for answers, create pauses. Say things like, "Take your time, I'm listening," or "You don't have to fix this, I just want to hear what's real for you." Those words build bridges, and safety goes both ways. You deserve to feel heard too, but the way you express your truth determines how deeply it lands. If you communicate from calm confidence, instead of emotional chaos, your words hold power. Try saying, "When this happens, I feel unseen," instead of, "You never listen to me." The first opens his heart, the second triggers his walls. Another powerful tool is vulnerability, with boundaries. Being honest about how you feel, without using guilt or blame. It sounds like, "I care about this connection," but I also need to feel respected, or I want us to understand each other, not fight each other. When a man hears that, he feels guided, not controlled. Over time, consistent, safe communication becomes emotional glue. He starts to relax. He starts to open. He starts to trust that your love isn't conditional. It's intentional, because emotional safety isn't built through endless talking. It's built through emotional presence. It's the tone of your voice, the patience in your silence, and the energy of "I'm here with you, not against you." That's when communication transforms from words into connection, and love finally feels like home. There's a point in almost every woman's love story where she realizes she's been giving so much that she started to lose herself. Giving attention, giving effort, giving love, hoping it will finally make him see her worth. But here's the truth. Overgiving doesn't create connection. It creates imbalance. Men don't fall in love because of how much you do for them. They fall in love because of how they feel when they're around you. When you overgive, you send an unspoken message that says, "You're the source of my happiness." And that energy, even when it's wrapped in love, feels heavy. It doesn't draw him closer. It makes him step back. Feminine magnetism is the opposite of overgiving. It's the quiet confidence that says, "I bring value just by being." It's not about withholding love or playing games. It's about trusting your presence, because your energy, your softness, your grace, that's what magnetizes. It's not effort, it's essence. Here's what most women don't realize. Giving is beautiful when it's balanced, but when it comes from fear, fear of losing him, fear of not being enough, it drains your power. True feminine energy doesn't chase validation. It embodies worth. You don't need to prove your love. You need to protect your energy. The art of feminine magnetism is learning to lean back, not because you don't care, but because you trust yourself enough to receive. It's smiling without expectation. It's giving when it feels inspired, not when it feels like obligation. It's saying, "I love deeply, but I won't abandon myself to keep someone close." Men can feel that difference instantly. When you're giving from self-worth, your love feels free. It doesn't demand, it doesn't chase, it simply is. That's what makes it irresistible, because your calm confidence invites him to rise, to give back, to match your energy. The moment you stop overgiving, everything shifts. You'll notice who actually values you when you're not constantly pouring into them. You'll see who shows up when you stop carrying the emotional load alone. And most importantly, you'll start feeling full again, not from someone else's attention, but from your own alignment. Feminine magnetism is about creating space. Space for him to move toward you, and space for you to breathe in your own power. Because when your energy says, "I am already enough," you stop chasing love, and love starts chasing you. Being chosen has nothing to do with convincing someone to see your worth. It's not about being prettier, nicer, or more available. It's about alignment. When you understand this, you stop trying to make people love you, and start realizing that real love recognizes you effortlessly. Here's the truth. Chasing comes from fear. The fear that if you don't prove yourself, you'll be forgotten. But you can't be forgotten by someone who's meant to see you. You can only be overlooked by someone who's not ready to meet you where you stand. To be chosen without chasing, you first have to choose yourself. That means becoming so grounded in your own energy that love feels like a bonus, not a lifeline. When you operate from that space, you radiate something powerful, calm confidence. It's not loud. It doesn't need attention. It just is. Men, and people in general, are instinctively drawn to what feels self-assured. They're captivated by those who aren't seeking validation, but are already living in alignment with their worth. That's what makes you unforgettable. You stop asking, "Why doesn't he see my value?" And you start living in a way that says, "Anyone who truly knows me will." The art of being chosen is about energetic balance. You give without losing yourself. You stay open without overextending. You show interest without surrendering your peace. That balance communicates emotional maturity, and that's what magnetizes the right person. When you stop chasing, something incredible happens. You create the emotional space for reciprocity. You allow the other person to pursue, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you're finally letting them contribute to the connection. Love can't breathe when one person is doing all the work. Real connection grows when both people are equally invested. If you ever find yourself waiting, hoping, overanalyzing, pause. Ask yourself, am I trying to earn love, or am I allowing love? One drains you, the other restores you. To be chosen without chasing, embody the energy of someone who knows they are already loved, by life, by themselves, by their own wholeness. That's the frequency that calls in aligned relationships, not ones built on effort and fear. Because in the end, the one who is meant for you will not need convincing. They'll recognize your energy instantly. They'll choose you because your peace feels like home. Not a game to win, not a prize to earn, but a partnership that just makes sense. When you understand that, chasing ends and true love finally begins. At some point, every woman who's been hurt, overlooked, or disappointed in love comes to a quiet realization that chasing love never created it, and losing love never destroyed it. Because real love starts within. You don't attract real love by being perfect, you attract it by being present. By being so in tune with your own worth that you stop performing for connection and start embodying it. The final mindset shift is this. Love isn't something you find, it's something you align with. You don't need to run after it, beg for it, or prove yourself to earn it. You only need to clear what's been blocking it. The fear of being too much, the habit of overgiving, the belief that you must chase to be chosen. When you heal those patterns, your energy shifts. You stop vibrating at scarcity, that desperate energy that says, I hope they pick me, and you begin to radiate something sacred. I already choose me. That's when the right love appears. Not because you searched harder, but because your energy finally matched what you were asking for. Love is an echo. It mirrors the way you treat yourself. If you approach it from emptiness, you'll attract lessons. If you approach it from fullness, you'll attract partnership. So the next time you feel that urge to chase, pause and remember this. You are not waiting to be discovered. You are awakening to your own light. When you live in that truth, when your boundaries are clear, your heart is open, and your worth is non-negotiable, love naturally flows toward you. The man who's meant for you will never need to be convinced. He will recognize your energy, respect your peace, and add to your joy. You won't need to shrink, chase, or prove. You'll just be. And that will be enough. Because love in its purest form is not chaos, it's clarity. It's not about losing yourself to be loved. It's about remembering yourself and being loved for it. So here's your final shift. Stop searching for someone to make you feel worthy. Start becoming someone who already does. That's the version of you that love can find. The version that doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't settle. She simply attracts. Because when you truly understand men emotionally, and you understand yourself spiritually, you realize the chase was never for love, it was always for you. Take a deep breath. Let everything you've just heard settle in for a moment. If you've made it to this point, it means something inside you is waking up. That quiet part of you that's tired of chasing, tired of questioning, and ready to experience love from a place of calm, confidence, and truth. You've just learned what most people spend years trying to figure out, that understanding men emotionally isn't about controlling them. It's about freeing yourself. When you see love through that lens, everything changes. You stop confusing attention with connection. You stop mistaking effort for alignment, and you start attracting relationships that feel balanced, peaceful, and mutual. Remember this, you don't need to beg to be chosen. You don't need to shrink to be accepted. You don't need to chase to be loved. Real love, the kind that lasts, grows where there's emotional safety, mutual respect, and self-awareness. It's not found through trying harder. It's found through being truer. If this message spoke to your heart, let it be your sign to keep choosing yourself. Every day, show up as the woman who knows she's worthy of what she desires, not because someone said so, but because she feels it in her bones. That's the energy that attracts love effortlessly. And if you're ready to go deeper, to understand masculine and feminine energy on a soul level, to heal emotional patterns, to create connection without losing yourself, stay connected here. This space is for you. For the women who are done chasing and ready to rise, for the ones who are ready to feel seen, not just loved. So if this video resonated, take a second to like it, share it with someone who needs to hear this today, and comment below. I choose love, not chase. Let that be your declaration. Your energetic shift from seeking to attracting. And don't forget to subscribe, because every week we dive deeper into the psychology of love, the language of energy, and the mindset that makes relationships feel safe and real again. You're not here by accident. You're here because your soul is ready to receive love differently. So trust that. Let go of the noise. Keep doing the inner work. And remember, when you understand men emotionally, you don't have to chase love ever again. It will find you, calmly, naturally, and in divine timing, because you are the magnet, and love has been looking for you all along.